action! Alright, the two Investigations games are some of the most different installments in the series. As the title implies, they focus more on the investigation elements of the Ace Attorney games, as opposed to the court segments in the others. While there are the usual cross-examinations and presenting of evidence, there really is more investigating going on than anything. Plus, you don't play as Phoenix Wright, but Miles Edgeworth. No herpety durr. And I'm here today to compare the two games. The first one, Ace Attorney Investigations, and the second one, Prosecutor's Path, which was not released outside of Japan. I'll be comparing each game to each other in a specific category. Alright, don't think I need to say anything else. Let's go! Something the Ace Attorney series always manages to get right is the music. There's no bad track in any of the games, and at worst, it's a good piece of music. At best, it's like, holy fuck, this is amazing, I want to have ear sex with this wonderful creation! And these two games are no exception. Now, because judging every single track would take way too long, I'll just say which recurring theme in the series I prefer and give a little explanation as to why. The themes being Investigation, Opening and Core, Cross-Examination, Moderato, Allegro, and the new version introduced in both games, Presto, the Logic theme, Objection, Confess the Truth, Pursuit, Won the Lawsuit, and the Credits theme. Opening Investigation goes to Investigations 2 mainly because of the guitar bits. I'm a huge fan of the instrument, and when a song can input the guitar in itself and pull it off really well, it has my grasp immediately. The more pumped-up Investigation theme goes to Investigations due to me preferring the piano more. It really does sound more like things are getting pretty serious now. While Investigations 2 does have a nice bass line in it, it really can't compare to Investigations' epic piano. The better version of Moderato is in Investigations 2 because once again, the damn guitar just grips my attention. It really does make questioning a witness quite pleasurable with an amazing and tame cross-examination theme. Investigations Allegro just really hooks me. It does feel like things are getting tougher and the questioning needs to be amped up. This theme does exactly that. It pulls off a great combination of both the bass and piano and is just a joy to listen to. The new cross-examination theme, titled Presto, was when things got super serious. This started playing and you're all like, oh shit, things are getting real now. And Investigations manages to pull off something truly spectacular. It just sounds so intense and the feeling is just so blood-pumping. Thought process themes are always quite interesting. It's a little upbeat theme to know when it's time to start thinking about things. Both had two themes, so I'm giving 2 points here, and Investigations manages to have some really good thinking themes. It's the moment of, okay, I need to figure this shit out, and the piano is just absolutely amazing here. The theme that starts to play when you found a flaw in your witness's testimony. The objection themes are quite spectacular, and Investigations manages to pull off yet another amazing version of this theme, as opposed to its sequel. One of my favorite pieces of music in the series, Confess the Truth, is an absolutely outstanding set of music. And while neither Investigations can come close to the likes of Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright, Investigations once again manages to triumph over Investigations 2. The piano in this piece is at its absolute best. Oh, and the guitar is absolutely captivating. It's just so fucking glorious. If you watched my top 8 Pursuit themes, then you know that Investigation 2's Wanting to Find the Truth is my absolute favorite Pursuit theme in the entire series. Nothing much else to say. 1, the lawsuit themes are that moment of victory, the theme you can listen to when you know you've solved everything and the criminal has been put away. Investigations 2 just manages to have a song that screams relief and victory. The happiness that spews from this song is just so pleasant to listen to after having brought a criminal down. And finally, we're at the credits, the theme that plays when absolutely everything has been resolved. You sit back, relax, and watch as your victory unravels and your work pays off. Investigations 2 has a more victorious theme, the satisfaction of doing all the work you just did. It's just amazing. You solved a bunch of cases, and this song rewards you with something spectacular. Overall, while both had really good soundtracks, I prefer Investigations over its sequel because it sounds a lot better. I enjoyed the new style of music they were going for, and it certainly works a lot better in the original, but Investigations 2 still has a good soundtrack. Seriously, that Pursuit theme. For a visual novel series, the writing is everything. When there's more emphasis on story than gameplay, the writing and story, which we will get to later, has to be really good. Basically, proper character development, how funny the game is, and how well certain moments make you feel, whether it be satisfaction, sadness, anger, humorous, or anything else. And this is another thing that the Ace Attorney series always seems to get right. I can feel the satisfaction of finding the real criminal and bringing them to justice through the way that's presented. It all feels so real, like you're the one who brought him down. You presented that evidence, you pointed out the contradiction, you brought a killer to the law. This was really close because both games managed to have these moments, despite one being a fan translation. They did a damn good job at it too. I'm gonna have to give this one to Investigations 2 because it has more moments like this. Plus the new characters develop a lot better, it has a lot more funnier moments, especially with Ray Shields, and the characters also feel incredibly real. The new characters introduced, such as Ray Shields, Justin Courtney, Sebastian DeBest, and a plethora of others, along with the reintroduced characters from the original Investigations, are all amazing. They made Kay Faraday, Shilong Lang, and Detective Bad just as great in Investigations 2 as they were in the original. And there's references to Spider-Man, Portal, Pokemon, The Simpsons, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and others. So this round, finally, goes to Prosecutor's Path. Gameplay isn't really that evident in this series, but each game does manage to add something new. But what the Investigations games manage to do is actually go into more control of the characters by showing them moving around, as opposed to the usual click on which location you want to go to next scenario that's in all other games. And since both games do this, there's nothing really much to compare here, except for the two special abilities introduced, Logic and Logic Chess. Both are really well implemented and fitting for someone like Miles Edgeworth who goes for a more realistic way of conclusions rather than something like Phoenix's Magatama. Hell, even when Edgeworth first used it, he was shocked by how different it was to what he's used to. Now what decides this one is which ability I prefer. Logic has any thoughts you've collected throughout the case and you connect the two that match each other. And you obtain this information by examining things. And Logic Chess is a mental chess game where Edgeworth uses knowledge he's gained throughout the case to basically strike someone down. You take certain paths to uncover the truth by attacking with pieces of information in the image of chess figures until you take your opponent's story down. Basically another form of cross-examination, but way more intense, especially with there being a timer and all. I honestly prefer the Logic Chess ability as opposed to just regular logic because it's more interesting and unique to me. Taking down people's mental chess pieces with your own just feels so damn satisfying. Seeing them explode one by one until they've got nothing left, absolutely gratifying. The characters. Oh boy, another Ace Attorney aspect that hardly ever goes wrong. This series contains some of the most zany, wacky, epic, and downright hateable characters ever. And these two games are, once again, no exception. As for returning characters, Edgeworth is at his absolute best, Gumshoe's being Gumshoe, and Francisca is still whipping people. But the new characters introduced are also pretty amazing. Investigations has 3 of my favorites, those being Shilong Lang, Kay Faraday, and Detective Bad. But Investigations 2 also has Ray Shields, Justin Courtney, and as a playable character, the not-dead Gregory Edgeworth. There are more than just those guys, but I'm naming my 3 favorites that are in each game. However, both have their bad bunch as well. I'm not too fond of Callisto Yu all that much, and Sebastian DeBest can go drown in a fucking lake for all I care. Okay, major spoiler alert right about now. Go to the time listed right here on the screen to avoid them. Blaze DeBest is the sole reason why DL6 exists. He's the chief prosecutor who gave Von Karma that penalty which caused the death of Gregory Edgeworth. I'm not sure whether to call him one of those "he's such a glorious bastard that I love him too much to hate him" villains, or go flat out "fuck this guy to no end as he can go drown in the same lake as his son." But which game has more original characters that I like? In the first game, I like the previously mentioned Shilong Lang, Kay Faraday, and Detective Bat. Plus Quercus Alba and Callias Palaeno are quite enjoyable. The rest I'm not too fond of, such as Callisto U and the Amanos, and the others I don't have too much thought on. Investigations 2 has Ray Shields, Justine Courtney, Gregory Edgeworth as previously mentioned, and then there's Simon Keyes, Jeff Masters, Catherine Hall, Horace Knightley, and Dijun Huang. But then Volta de Best show up, with Sebastian being incompetent as all fuck and Blaze being just a total bastard. However, Sebastian redeems himself in the end, which is always a good thing. And the others I don't have too much of an opinion on. I'm gonna have to give this one to Investigations 2 because I just prefer its original characters over Investigations. I'm not going to go too much into detail about these and just say which first, second, third, fourth, and fifth case I prefer and give a quick summary about them. Investigation's first case involves the break-in of Edgeworth's office, which turns out to be a murder, and Investigation 2's involves a fake assassination attempt where someone ended up dying in the end. This one goes to Turnabout Target, mainly for Shelley DeKiller returning. I love that guy and it's nice to see him come back. Case 2 of Investigations involves investigating a murder on an airplane, and Investigations 2 has you investigate a murder in a prison. The Imprisoned Turnabout wins this one for being more interesting overall, introducing Ray Shields and having a better female antagonist. Case 3 of Investigations is a kidnapping that turns into a murder, whereas Investigations 2 is going to a pastry show and discovering the body in one of the desserts. The Inherited Turnabout wins mainly because you play as Gregory Edgeworth for half the case. Case 4 of Investigations has you travel back in time to a double murder, and Investigations 2 is investigating a murder in a dirty underground auction. The Forgotten Turnabout gets this one because I just simply prefer it over Turnabout Reminiscence. And Case 5 of Investigations has you going to an embassy to catch the fake Yatagarasu that turns out to be 2 murders, and Investigations 2 is investigating the murder of the president of the first case only to find out it's all been one big plan. The Grand Turnabout gets this one because of the huge plot twist in the end, which I won't spoil yet. So Investigations 2 wins this round. The stories in the Ace Attorney series are pretty damn good, and once again, these 2 games are no exception. They're also the closest games in the entire franchise. If you want to know how close, the first case of Prosecutor's Path takes place only 10 days after the final case of Investigations. I just went over the cases, so I'll go with the major big story that connects each case to each other. So, Investigations connects a group of people who are involved in a major smuggling ring where, in the end, you take down the leader, but also discover the truth behind the great thief, the Yatagarasu. Investigations 2 is the connection of bringing 3 individuals involved in a huge scandal where the mastermind is someone we don't even expect. It's quite a tough choice because both are really good, but I'm gonna have to go with Investigations 2 because of how well it's told. I mean, I prefer all the cases from Investigations 2 over the originals. Things just feel more fluid and it has a satisfying ending. So, for the final time, this round goes to Investigations 2. Final score. Investigations 2 is superior to Investigations for me. I never really saw what people were praising in Investigations, but it's certainly not a bad game. Far from it. Hell, every Ace Attorney game after Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright gets at least an 8 out of 10 from me. But I prefer Prosecutor's Path vastly over the original because it takes what was good about the first game and amps it up about 10 times. You can think what you want, but if you've played it or watched a playthrough of Prosecutor's Path, maybe you'd see my way, and maybe you wouldn't. At the end of the day, all I really care about is if someone still wants to yell objection for the sake of yelling it. We're done with another video. Yay! This is my first time making a comparison video, so feedback would be greatly appreciated. Anything I could do to improve what I'm doing right and wrong, something that helps is always wanted. Stay tuned for the finale of Ace Attorney Month because it's gonna blow your socks off. Or maybe it won't, depends on what you determine is quality. As always, have a grand day and go investigate something. Then challenge some random guy to a game of mental chess.